My name is Sergeant Krell, and I am the leader of the 5th Squad of the Armageddon Ork Hunters. We are a veteran regiment of the Imperial Guard, specialized in fighting the greenskin menace that plagues our home world. We have seen more battles than most soldiers can imagine, and we have earned our reputation as fearless and ruthless warriors. But nothing prepared us for what we faced on Yusha, a jungle planet in the Segmentum Pacificus. We were part of a Soulblade fleet sent to reinforce the local defenders against a Tyranid invasion. The Tyranids are alien monstrosities that devour everything in their path, and they are one of the greatest threats to the Imperium of man. We landed on a clearing near the edge of the jungle, where we met with Colonel Vaughn, the commander of the Jucha PDF, Planetary Defense Force. He briefed us on the situation. The Tyranids had overrun most of the planet, and only a few pockets of resistance remained. Our mission was to secure a vital supply depot in the heart of the jungle and hold it until further orders. We boarded our Chimera transports and headed towards the depot, escorted by a squadron of sentinels. The jungle was thick and dark, and we could hear the screeches and roars of the Tyranids in the distance. We knew we were entering enemy territory, and we checked our weapons and gear. My squad consisted of 8 men. Corporal Hark, a grizzled veteran who carried a heavy bolter. Trooper Rax, a young and eager recruit who wielded a flamer. Trooper Zane, a sniper with a long lass. Trooper Jax, a demolitions expert with a melter bomb. Trooper Dex, a medic with a laser gun. Trooper Rex, a comms specialist with a voxcaster. Trooper Max, a driver with a shotgun. And me, Sergeant Krell, with a chainsword and a plasma pistol. We had been fighting together for years, and we knew each other well. We had survived countless Ork attacks on Armageddon, and we had developed a bond of brotherhood that nothing could break. We trusted each other with our lives, and we were ready to face any enemy. We reached the depot without encountering any resistance, which made us suspicious. The depot was a large metal structure surrounded by razor wire and sandbags. It looked abandoned and looted, but Colonel Vaughn assured us that it still contained valuable supplies and equipment. He ordered us to secure the perimeter and set up a base camp. We disembarked from our chimeras and began to unload our gear. We scanned the area for signs of Tyranid activity, but we saw nothing. The jungle was silent and still, as if waiting for something. We should have known it was a trap. Suddenly, we heard a loud explosion from behind us. We turned around and saw one of our chimeras engulfed in flames. A huge Tyranid creature had emerged from the jungle and smashed into it with its claws. It was a Carnifex, a walking tank of flesh and bone that could rip apart anything in its way. We opened fire at it, but our bullets bounced off its thick carapace. It roared in fury and charged at us, followed by swarms of smaller Tyranids, termagants, hormagaunts, genocidals, lictors. They poured out of the jungle like a tidal wave of death. We formed a defensive line around the depot and fought back with everything we had. We unleashed our flamers, melters, grenades, rockets and laser guns at them, trying to stem the tide. But they were too many, too fast, too hungry. They reached our position and engaged us in close combat. We drew our bayonets, chainswords, knives and fists, and fought them tooth and nail. We hacked, slashed, stabbed, punched, kicked, bit them back. We fought like madmen, like Ork Hunters, but we were outnumbered and outmatched. One by one, my squad mates fell around me. I saw Hark get torn apart by a genocida's claws. I saw Rax get impaled by a hormagaunt's scythe. I saw Zane get dragged into the shadows by a lictor. I saw Jax get crushed by a Carnifex's foot. I saw Dex get devoured by termagants. I saw Rex get silenced by an acid spray. I was the last one standing. I was surrounded by Tyranids on all sides. I had no ammo left in my plasma pistol. I had no power left in my chainsword. I had no hope left in my heart, but I had one thing left, my faith. I raised my chainsword high and shouted the words that had been drilled into me since I joined the Guard. For the Emperor. I charged at the nearest Tyranid, a genocidal, and swung my chainsword at its head. It dodged my blow and slashed at my chest, opening a deep wound. I ignored the pain and stabbed it in the eye, killing it. I pulled out my chainsword and faced the next Tyranid, a hormagaunt. It leaped at me and tried to skewer me with its scythe. I blocked its attack with my chainsword and kicked it in the stomach, sending it flying. I ran after it and decapitated it with a backhand swing. I turned around and faced the next Tyranid, a termagant. It fired a burst of flesh borers at me, hitting me in the arm and leg. I felt the maggots burrow into my flesh, eating me from within. I gritted my teeth and shot it in the face with my plasma pistol, melting its skull. I dropped my plasma pistol and faced the next tyrannid, a lictor. It emerged from the jungle and lunged at me, its claws aiming for my throat. I dodged its strike and grabbed its arm, twisting it until it snapped. I then slammed my chainsword into its chest, ripping out its heart. I threw away my chainsword and faced the next tyrannid, a carnifex. It towered over me, its jaws dripping with blood. It roared in anger and swung its claws at me, trying to smash me into pulp. I ducked under its swipe and jumped on its back, climbing up to its head. I reached for my melter bomb, which was strapped to my belt. I activated it and shoved it into its mouth, forcing it down its throat. I jumped off its back and ran away as fast as I could. I looked back and saw the carnifex explode in a ball of fire, taking several tyrannids with it. I smiled and laughed. I had done it. I had killed them all. I had avenged my squad. I had served the Emperor. I fell to my knees and closed my eyes. I felt a warm light embrace me. I heard a voice say, "Well done, my son." I heard the roaring of Valkyries and Chimeras coming my way. I might just live to fight another day, it seems, I thought to myself before passing out. Welcome back, friends. I hope you enjoyed my Ork Hunters short story set to fight the Tyrannid menace. Today, we will dive into the Armageddon Ork Hunters Astra Militarum regiment. One of the regiments filled with the most powerful and fiercest fighters the Imperium has ever seen. Glad to have you back here. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe for more. And leave a like if you had fun. Remember to write a comment to tell me what's on your mind. Thank you for being here, and now let's get to it. The Armageddon Ork Hunters are a specialized troop of Astra Militarum warriors founded following the conclusion of the Second War for Armageddon in 943 M41. They were created to conduct xenocidal campaigns throughout the hive world of Armageddon's equatorial rainforests in an attempt to rid them of the orc population that had taken root there. The Ork Hunters battle their feral opponent on their own terms, specializing in guerrilla tactics and jungle combat, and have become highly adept at their vicious cause. Because of their savage look and nasty demeanor, the Ork Hunters are viewed as no better than the green-skinned trash they pursue, and they have earned the animosity of many other Imperial Guard units stationed on Armageddon. Soldiers from Armageddon's Ork Hunter battalions are vicious warriors who have already established a fearsome reputation in their short history. Based on their home planet's equatorial jungle, they frequently return to the fortified Cerberus base with ghastly prizes obtained from the orcs they have slaughtered, such as teeth necklaces, skulls, stick bombs, and blood-stained armor plates. Each Ork Hunter carries his scalper, a massive machete-like weapon capable of decapitating a xenos with a single blow, in addition to his standard kit. Because of their feral look and gruff manner, the Ork Hunters are thought to be only slightly less savage than the orcs they hunt. This is not far from the truth, and on more than one occasion, the Ork Hunters have been forced to join forces with the Greenskins against the hordes of demons who have swarmed the region since the Great Rift opened. If the abominations of chaos are slain, any remaining humans and orcs will surely turn on one another. Their history begins with the Third War for Armageddon. It began in 998 M41. The Imperium of Man was at odds with the largest orc wag ever raised, led by greenskin warlord Gazkul Mag Uruk Thraka. The battle was fought on Armageddon's hive world, where Gazkul Thraka had made his first effort to take the planet precisely 57 standard years previously. The wounded hive world began the arduous process of reconstructing its shattered hive cities and defenses in the years following the defeat of the Gazkul Thraka during the Second War for Armageddon. The Orc horde had been annihilated, but due to the Orkoid race's peculiar spore-based reproductive mechanism, Greenskins continued to harass Imperial soldiers. In reaction to this reality, General Kurov, the head of Armageddon's ruling military council, launched many xenocidal missions deploying Imperial Guard troops to eradicate such infestations throughout the tropical jungles of Armageddon and the ice world of Trosin. The armies involved in these encounters sustained massive losses, with many units reduced to less than a tenth of their operational strength. Rather than dispersing these soldiers to other regiments, General Kurov opted to capitalize on the survivors' unique knowledge and develop them into a series of specialized orc hunting regiments. Soldiers from dozens of various planets with little in common in terms of culture were now combined into specialized greenskin eradication units. The major area of operations for these forces was in the tropical jungles of Armageddon, where orcs continued to multiply despite periodical purges. These feral orcs proved to be particularly adept at battling in the jungle and frustratingly tough to engage in a decisive battle with. As a result, the Ork Hunter regiments constructed Cerberus base in the center of the jungle, providing them with a forward staging place as well as substantial training facilities. The intense heat and punishing training regimen quickly earned the base the moniker Helltown. The Ork Hunters undertake operations into the equatorial rainforests, the Green, as the Ork Hunters referred to it, fighting between the two continents of Armageddon Prime and Armageddon Secundus. 3 regiments of Catacomb jungle fighters have recently been added to the Ork Hunter army. Later, reports suggested that a heated rivalry had arisen between the two factions. But as the feral orcs swamped the mountains and dense jungle, the Ork Hunters needed all the assistance the other Imperial Guard regiments could provide.
The Ork Hunters have learnt to combat the enemy on their own terms, and they have excelled at their task. Soldiers from the Ork Hunter regiments are vicious fighters who have already established a fearsome reputation in their short history. Many Imperial Guard regiments were sent to Cerberus base to study from the instructor sergeants of the Ork Hunters. The Ork Hunters' uncouth and brutal temperament is well known among many of the more traditional Imperial Guard regiments, and the battle at Helltown marked the beginning of the hostility between the Ork Hunters and the Pyrran Dragoons. When the Pyrran Dragoons landed at Cerberus base to be trained in the search for feral orcs still roaming the planet, the haughty Dragoons were soon pitted against the uncouth Armageddon Ork Hunters. The two regiments' approaches to warfare could not have been more drastically opposite, and clashes between officers from the opposing regiments were widespread. Colonel Pertinax, the commander of Cerberus base, ordered the Dragoons to maintain perimeter positions that the Pyrans saw as suicidally weak. Thus, they disobeyed the Ork Hunter commander and abandoned their posts. This withdrawal resulted in a major orc assault, which the Ork Hunters were barely able to repel. After the Battle of Helltown, it was stated that the dispute between Pertinax and Dragoon Colonel Tanley Drake could be heard throughout the walled camp until the Pyrran eventually challenged his counterpart to a battle. The conclusion of the duel differs according to accounts, but the Pyrran Dragoons have always held that their colonel nobly scored first blood against the Ork Hunter, allowing the entire regiment to honorably retire to Hive Infernus for further orders. The two regiments have remained close enemies in the aftermath of this honor duel. About their combat doctrine, the Armageddon Ork Hunters have adapted and trained extensively, becoming masters of jungle warfare. Although they were not born in the jungle and will never be as skilled as soldiers like the fabled Catacomb, they have become extremely skilled. They are the only survivors of cataclysmic conflict between their former regiments and the tropical jungle orcs, and each of them is as skillful as they are fierce. The training for the Ork Hunters includes a wide range of new methods to learn and master, such as demolition, escape and evasion, survival, and intelligence work. The Ork Hunters' trained warriors are intended to become experts in all of the weaponry and methods utilized in orc hunting and jungle warfare. Imperial Guardsmen who complete the training receive the Ork Hunters insignia, a tiny metal pin with an orc skull emblem. This became the regimental emblem of the Ork Hunters, as well as the source of their unofficial name, the Skull Takers. The psychological effects of continual contact and close-quarters battle with the orcs on the men subjected to it were not estimated by Kurov in his rush to combat the orcs in the jungles of Armageddon. Many Ork Hunter squads do not return to their base for weeks on end, surviving solely on the resources of the jungle around them, immersed in their struggle against the orcs. Occasionally, a squad of Ork Hunters would return to Cerberus base, laden with the ghastly spoils of the countless orcs they have slaughtered on their incursions. Orc tooth necklaces, skulls, scalps, and more commonplace artifacts like orc glyphs and stick bombs are common trophies. A concerning tendency in the fighting doctrine of the Ork Hunters has recently been observed. The Ork Hunters appear to be embracing not only the orcoid way of combat, but also many of their rituals, codes of conduct, and iconography.
At best, these troops have discovered that in order to completely eliminate their adversary, they must first study them and adopt their combat strategies. At worst, they are devolving into the ferocious monsters for whom they have given their lives, a heinous insult to the Emperor's warriors. Since the Second Armageddon War, the Ork Hunters of Armageddon have used a variety of strategies to cleanse the jungles of Armageddon Secundus of the countless feral orcs that inhabit the region. Lethal toxins have been created and tested, as have other traps designed solely to eliminate as many orcs as possible. The elite fire sweep teams of the regiment's most skilled warriors, are at the vanguard of the Ork Hunters' ongoing war against their barbaric adversary. Years of battling in the jungles have hardened these Ork Hunters. Armed with flamer guns, they can sweep vast swaths of the jungle of all orc infestations in hours, and their courage provides them a distinct advantage over any orc expecting to hide among the dense undergrowth. An Ork Hunter sergeant and 2 to 4 Ork Hunter veterans make up a fire sweep team. Armageddon Ork Hunters rarely get the opportunity to return to Cerberus base and refill their ammunition, as their patrols can last weeks. As a result, seized orc weaponry is frequently used by Armageddon Ork Hunters. Some of the most powerful Ork Hunters have even been known to use the Orcs' primitive axes in close combat. According to several Imperial sources, the Armageddon Ork Hunters like orc weapons because of the tremendous noise and mayhem they can generate when an ambush is formed. This is sometimes worrisome for Imperial command as they increasingly become orc-like. As you fight a fierce enemy and you learn to defeat it, you start to become it. And that's the end of the video, my friends. I hope you have enjoyed it and had fun. Remember to subscribe and leave a like. If you had fun, write a comment and let's discuss this particular and unique Imperial Guard regiment and tell me what you think. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one. Until then, keep the light of the Emperor burning.